on this week's episode, we're going to talk about the transition between the president and is he going to concede? Next topic is going to be stimulus barriers and why the Senate hasn't passed a bill. NYC's mayoral race. And last but not least, is social media censorship an attack on free speech? All on today's episode.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring.
Now, I know for me, I have an Instagram page, and a lot of the time when I want to promote the show, I want to post a photo or a story, I usually will do a hashtag. And lately what I've been noticing is a lot of those hashtags won't even be passed through to the pages that they're supposed to be channeled to because of social media censorship. So I want to start with Kara. Have you experienced any of this, restrictions related to social media, and what are your thoughts about that topic?
I've really been aware of this for months now, actually, since the beginning of, the hysteria with the pandemic. I had a page that was promoting rallies and First Amendment rights, and how a lot of people were feeling that their First Amendment rights were being taken away. And that page was taken down constantly by Facebook. It had at times thousands of people on the page, and then all of a sudden I'd wake up in the morning, the page would be down. So Facebook has been censoring us for a long time now. Twitter is really one of the worst when it comes to censorship. They're censoring the president of the United States, and I don't care if you like Donald Trump or not. You can't censor the president of the United States without making us look like complete idiots to the rest of the world. I don't understand how that's even normal and how anyone could find that acceptable. Google is the worst. They censor search engine. So if you type in something to a Google search like will Biden steal election, what comes up is 10 things right away how Trump is going to steal the election. Now that might be great and all for you that think Trump is going to try to steal the election. If you agree with that works in your favor now. So you're not worried, but you should be worried because this could be turned around and used against you in the future. So if you're not worried right now about censorship because it's right now benefiting Democrats and benefiting the left, you should be very worried that in the future that this could come around and bite you in the behind in the future where you're censored and your side is censored when it doesn't go.
When you were on Facebook, the whole situation with a particular artist, a rap artist, was trying to speak with the president, and they had cut you or blocked you, correct?
Right. I'm chastising, attacking Ice Cube about his contract with Black America, which was a lie. And I get censored, and they banned me for 7 days. Right. Then they sent me back after the 7 days. They sent back another statement saying, if I do it again, I'm gonna be banned for a year. Wow. I sure can express myself as long as I ain't calling you stupid, ignorant, fool, and all that kind of stuff. And the thing about it is that I'm saying this here is that the way Trump be talking, nasty and filthy, calling people out their name, and lying about Biden stole the election. He have no evidence that Biden himself stole the election. He the president.
One of the things that's very disturbing about what we're going through right now is that let's if we all look at it, there has social media. I'm not even going to say social media. I'm going to be more specific. Facebook is the classroom of many Americans right now. I mean, if you hold people won't go to class, but they'll definitely go to Facebook. When it comes to education on things, Facebook is the short document for a well-informationed 100-page book right now.
That's where almost everybody gets their news from now.
So if that's the case, right, And it's really not Mark Zuckerberg's fault. And again, I differ from the Democrats when they say some kind of way that because Mark Zuckerberg has this great business, they have to. No, he created that business. So the fact that he created that business is not his fault because he made a monster. However, I will say that if Americans are sharing fraudulent stuff on this document, on this webpage, and it's stirring up violence, or it's stirring up. Now let's be real. In this, it was only until 2016, that we saw such crazy activity over Facebook. In the history of this country, if you will, or in the history of Facebook, we have never seen so many bots, if you will, and so much information regarding an election before. So based on that by itself, Congress feels like they have to step in. Now, the question is how far do they go? Because we all know something has to be done. I mean, we can't go off into a third world nation because people are sharing all types of craziness and they could just put out that somebody's going to blow up somebody tomorrow, or Pizzagate, or pedophilia, or some crazy stuff like that, and people respond politically. So the question then becomes is how far should Congress go in regulating this and it's not even it's not even regulating the company. It's regulating what's being labeled as true. So how far should they go?
Listen to what you just said and look at it from the way I'm hearing it. You're saying that people should be censored more because what they're saying you don't agree.
No. That's not what I said.
So scary. I'm terrified if people think like you. I don't even want to even think about it. It's terrifying. Terrifying.
It's not what I said. What I said was that
I know what you said, and you're making the classic argument. You're saying that false information should be removed when you don't even know if it's false. Let me ask you a question. With the whole Russia collusion thing that they took 3 years to prove, when they were posting stuff on Facebook about that for 3 straight years, and then none of it was true. It turned out to be proven by investigations that it wasn't true. Why wasn't that? Should those people be penalized? Because false information was dividing this country for 4 years. People were accusing people of crimes that were not even true. So you're right. False information was dividing people, but that false information was still allowed to be propagated on Facebook. So when it's one side, you're okay with it, but when it's the other side, you're not. And they're using this to divide and distract us. And I agree. And it's sad that we're all fighting over this, but there's no way in hell anybody should ever be censored for something like under the guise of false information. That is a guise.
Said about that.
Let me just make my point. Wait, hold on,
Brown. Hold on, Brown. Let's C's talk.
Let me just make my point here. I'm not saying that people should be censored. I didn't say that people should be censored. I'm not saying that people should go to jail or people should. No, what I'm saying is that it is true that there is false information leading up to political upheaval, if you will.
Yes, you're right. And it comes from both sides. So how are you going to...
And it comes from both sides. Absolutely. No. Let me finish, Brown. Let me just finish. Let me just finish one thing. Brown, let me just finish. What I'm saying is yes.
What you're saying is you want to be regulated more by the government, which is even scarier, which goes to the
no. You're not saying
the country
that.
has fallen into.
Let me clear it up. What I'm saying is that yes, it's true. It's on both sides of the aisle. And it's leading to political upheaval in this country to wherein it could throw our democracy. Now, listen to what I said. I said it can.
There's no freedom of speech. It's a moot point. It invalidates its own self.
It can go. And so what should be done?
Blake. Can I jump in a minute?
Go ahead.
Q9, who is a big supporter of Trump, a conspiracy. Alex Jones, Q9, Trump, all they get on social media and make statements and create division. That should not be tolerated. Just like I was against gangster rappers using all kind of derogatory words against women and low rating and promoting drugs and violence. I'm against Trump lying about some conspiracy about the Democrats that's trying to steal the election. All that is lies.
My question is what, if anything, should be done?
Nothing should be done. There should
Yeah,
be
something should be
censorship.
done. They
There should
should
be no
lock Trump
censorship.
up. They should
Okay.
lock Trump up online and trying to pull a coup on the.
Away from the what we're talking about
Censorship.
is what should be done, if anything.
Nothing. I feel
I'm
very
telling you what
strongly
should
about
be
this.
done.
Okay, but if anything,
They should sue Trump for lying. That's what they should do.
listen, this look, this is not a Trump issue. Social media, this subject right here has nothing to do with, it does, but it doesn't have anything to do with Donald Trump. What it shows is a political weakness that this country has. And the question is that other countries can use this to tear this country apart from both sides of the aisle. So the question still remains, and I still don't have an answer to it. What should be done, if anything? And if anything, if nothing should be done, then the question is do you just let it go, and the effects is the effect?
So you're saying to censor the mainstream media, because what about when they lied about weapons of mass destruction and it was proven there were none back in the 9/11 days? That was a big mainstream media lie. They lied for years and years, terrorized the country. So you're saying, okay, let's cancel the mainstream media, because that's basically what you're saying, because they caused wars. So when the media was saying years ago, and I'm sure you guys are all well educated on this after the years, that there were no weapons of mass destruction. So when they're telling us this for many years and we bought it and we went to war over it, are you saying then that we should censor and call misinformation on the mainstream media? And who gets to do that then? Who gets to make that call? Who are these fact checkers? Are they biased? Are they part of one party? Or do they have an agenda? They're these faceless people that are calling these shots, and that's very frightening. So if you're saying that it's dangerous not to censor people, then you're saying that all the lies that the media has fed us through the years, and there have been many through the civil rights, through everything, throughout history, then we should just scrap the mainstream media. There should be no press. There should be no news. So that's basically what the argument's saying that you're supporting.
Well, let me just clear up again, Brown. Let me clear up my position. What I'm saying is that now can we all agree though, Rizzo, Brown, me, myself, Kara, can we all agree that the road that we're going down or up or however you want to put it has led to political upheaval? Is that true, everybody, or am I wrong?
I would say that the country's a mess right now.
Well, I would say that if they eliminate people like Trump.
Hold on, let me just sit and point this out, because you're going down the road of Trump. And what I'm saying is but if you leave Trump out of this, right? How can a social media platform say who should be there and who shouldn't? So my point is you can't eliminate one person without eliminating the other one. And so what I'm saying is we all recognize this problem. So in our expertise, what do we think needs to be done? Brown.
Okay. All right, I got the flow. Okay, good. Well, when she says censorship, Trump impressed upon the public to drink bleach and other household detergent. When that stuff hits social media, that's the kind of stuff that need to be blotted out, because people was dying from drinking bleach, try to recover from the coronavirus. I'm saying that Trump lies about many things in the press, the fraud this, the fraud that. Yes, he needs to be censored. I think that lying stir up.
So what you're saying is leave Trump out of this. What you're saying is that a citizen who is participating on social media that's lying about a certain political issue, right, you think they should censor them? And if you think that, then who should be the judge of that?
No. I'm saying that if you come up with something like, for example, you mentioned about Pizzagate, and the man went over there and shot them people up because someone said that a pedophile was inside the restaurant. That's the kind of stuff on social media should be censored. When Trump lies, and many of the Republicans lie about and use conspiracy theories with no facts about voter fraud, that should be censored.
Who should censor that? Who should be the ones that are calling it out? Who's the one that should be the judge of that?
Well, I think that the American people should be the judge, and that I think our leadership should listen to us and censor all of that stuff that is causing. Look, we headed toward a civil war because of lies, a race war because of lies from the Republicans. So these people need to be banned and eliminated from social media.
So Kara, who do you think? Look, Kara, who do you believe that they should be censored?
I don't think anyone should be censoring anybody. I think that everybody should have freedom of expression. I think that if it's more even, that's the way it has to be. That everybody should be able to have a voice.
But think of it like this. You know, when you go to court and you have an argument on something, it could be a divorce, somebody stole from you, you have to have receipts or proof. I think it's a little bit crazy that all of a sudden they decided to censor everybody. Because like I said on Instagram, for an example, I'm getting censored for just my modeling pictures that have nothing to do with politics. So it's almost like everybody's getting punished for someone who's lied constantly on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. I think that what should happen is if Mark Zuckerberg, who's over Facebook, he should be the one who should be responsible since that's his platform. And if he wants to censor somebody, they need to come with receipts on why it's false or why it's wrong, instead of just cutting somebody for what they posted. And if it's something that was like shared, like say if I shared something that could have been false without me realizing it, I should get a warning. But cutting down me being able to hashtag something, that's going too far. So there has to be levels to it.
But you know, as a business person, everybody that puts on their business hat now, say, okay, I should be the one responsible for it. Okay, I might take that on. But if I do take that on, I have to be funded for it, which means the government has to fund my business and that department, you know, to the fullest extent if you're going to try to hold me responsible. And not only
I don't know if you're aware that there is legislation just like that. The government, number one, Facebook's one of Facebook's startup funders, and that includes Google as well. And there's a law called section, I think it's number 230 or something like that. Just Google it. Actually, don't Google it because God only knows what'll come up on Google these days. But it's a law that basically gives indemnity to these social media platforms for any content that's posted on their sites. So if you were to post something, say in a magazine, and some like, oh, everybody go kill yourself, something like that, and then people kill themselves, they could sue that magazine for damages. But social media is indemnified from that. So if somebody posts on social media page, go kill yourself, and people actually follow, social media, these social media giants can't be sued. They have indemnity. So they have a protection that nobody else has that's led them to become the giants that they are today. And that's in question right now. Because if they're going to start censoring people and acting like publishers, which is what they're doing, you're a publisher and not a free speech. It's not about free speech. You're a publisher when you're actually censoring people. No longer should you have those protections that this bill gave them, where they're no longer responsible for the content on their sites. So Mark Zuckerberg has to make a real decision. Is he a publisher or is he a free speech forum?
Hey guys, it's Rizzo Denise. Make sure you subscribe. That way you don't miss the latest information related to you. Hit that subscription button and don't miss the next episode of Early Talk with Rizzo Denise. Like, share, and comment. The transition. Why do you think that Donald Trump is not conceding with Joe Biden?
Well, I think that Trump, he's a very, very confused and selfish man. That's number one. So you can expect that kind of response from a Donald Trump. And the problem I have with the whole issue of the voting fraud issue, that's why he don't want to concede.
Right.
I have with it is that in all the states that he won, they did not do an investigation in Texas, Florida, North Carolina, these big states. He won several southern states, and I know he won North Carolina. My problem I have is that if they would have did a overall investigation in all the states to see whether or not, even in where he won, was there voter fraud, it would have looked more like, well, wait a minute, he is investigating the totality of the vote count, but he only going after black districts, like in Atlanta, Pennsylvania, which is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, where the majority of the black districts. Why is he going after black voters when his movement, if I'm not mistaken, was to recruit enough of black voters to win? It does not make any sense. Now that you have lost and blacks are seeing your real color, I don't understand the logic behind it. You go and you do all the research and you hire all these lawyers to go after black voters in poor areas, inner city areas. But what happened to districts that are majority white in Pennsylvania, majority white in Michigan? They bypassed all these districts and went straight to Detroit, Ann Arbor. They went right to the black vote. How in the world can you say, you know what, the people that voted for me, hey, I have no problem with it. There's no fraud. But the people that voted for Biden, there's fraud.
All right. Now, Kara, I want to ask you, but I want to add a question too. In an article about Trump, it says that he's going to visit Georgia. It said that he's going to visit Georgia coming up this week to represent the senators running in Georgia. So I just want to ask the same question I asked Reverend Brown about why isn't Donald Trump conceding right now? And on top of that, do you think it's wise for him to go to Georgia at this time while there's a pandemic to support the senators running?
I don't think Donald Trump should concede, and I think it's problematic when you don't call him the president, because he is the president right now. Biden has not been sworn in. Donald Trump was sworn in as president, so he is the president of the United States. There was voter fraud. I feel really bad for America right now. I'm very sad that people are not getting the proper information, that people are totally uneducated about what's actually really going on in the country. The media is completely been compromised. It's disgusting. It's sad. There's trials going on in Pennsylvania. There's hearings going on that the news, the mainstream media isn't even covering. So unless you're actually looking for this information, you have no idea what's going on. So if you're reading the regular news or the quote unquote mainstream media, you're actually not hearing the truth. So there's a lot of stuff going on that a lot of people that aren't specifically trying to pay attention don't know about, which is that there has been very much proof that there was voter fraud. It's not even an issue. It's not even to be disputed, and it will be proven. It just takes time. Obviously, they took the Democrats almost 3 years to attempt to prove some sort of voter fraud when it came to Russia and Donald Trump. So it took 3 years and probably billions, if definitely millions of dollars of taxpayer money trying to prove that there was some sort of voter fraud and Russia was helping Donald Trump win the election. It took them 3 years, and they came up short. They came up with nothing. It's been a couple of weeks now, and people are expecting to see proof. That's going to be shown in front of a court of law.
Okay.
So until that happens, Donald Trump should not concede, because cheaters cannot win in America. I do believe that that there was a lot of suspicious going on. There was more votes in certain districts than actual voters registered. There were more mail-in ballots turned in that actually were sent out. This is all fact. This is all proven. I don't think that it's just black districts that they're targeting. I think there's been proven voter fraud in many districts. And as far as Texas and Florida, if Biden if they feel that there was fraud there, then it's up to them to prove. Trump already has enough on his hands, proving within 3 or 4 weeks' time voter fraud. How is that even feasible in your minds? So why would he waste time going to states that he won when the burden of proof is on him to prove fraud in states that he supposedly lost?
What if Biden would have launched an investigation?
Let him do it. I would tell him to do it. Please do it. Please do it. I want to know if there's voter fraud. Do it.
Because you know why? No. You know
Nobody
why?
cares if Biden launches the fraud, and you guys shouldn't care if Trump does either. The other side, if you have nothing to hide, then there should be no problem with an investigation.
All right, you guys. So let's transition to the next topic, because I know that we have a couple more things to talk about. The second topic is the stimulus barriers and why the Senate hasn't passed a bill related to the stimulus bill. We heard that it was supposed to be done this year, and it might not be done until December. So we started with Mr. Brown. The first question, Kara, in your opinion and your analyst, what do you think about that? Why hasn't there been a bill passed yet?
There hasn't been a bill passed because the government in general is a disaster, starting with the House of Representatives and the crazy things that they wanted to put into the bill that had nothing to do with COVID-19. As I've said a million times before to other people, people are trying to use this pandemic for their own purposes that has nothing to do with making people better or caring about their health. It's for their own purposes. So Nancy Pelosi, amongst other government officials, have been using this pandemic in order to get things that have nothing to do with COVID. So that's, in my opinion, one of the main reasons why the bill hasn't passed. I think it's selfish, and I think it's disgusting on their part, because they don't care about the American people.
Mr. Brown, I wanted to ask you, this is what Nancy Pelosi said in quotes. "We are asking McConnell to come back to the table," House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said on Friday, "to meet the needs of the American people in addition to a second stimulus check. A handful of federal programs will expire before the end of the year that are designed to support individuals and small businesses." Do you think that will do more damage to the United States if they cancel or cut down on those programs that help small businesses?
Exactly. It's the Republicans, really, because the Democrats want to put more money into the pockets of ordinary citizens, the working class. The Republicans, they don't want to see minorities and people of color rise in this country. So basically, they want, take for example, the unemployment compensation. We was getting $600 a week. Then they're gonna cut us down to $200. The Republicans didn't want to give us $200 a week, but they flying on jet, on plane free. They got Medicare free as a U.S. senator. So why they can't feel their kids are in private schools? Why they can't feel like they feel for us, like they feel for their own people?
What I would also throw into this is that, something that's, I think should be bipartisan is the fact that cities and states are also strapped for cash at this time. So not only are we looking at a situation where the American people are strapped for cash in their own households, but we're also looking at businesses that basically need a bailout. And we also are talking about cities and states that have fire departments, police officers, people like that, essential workers that need to be funded because the states don't have the money to keep going.
Next topic I want to discuss with you two, because it's amazing and great that you two are on the show to talk about your points of views. This third topic is New York City mayor race candidates. So we'll start with you, Kara. Who are you going for? Who you want to win as mayor?
I think that there's still time to see like what the candidates have to present. There's a lot of candidates out there right now. I think that it has to be someone really strong. And he was the poorest, weakest mayor New York City ever had. So the next person that is going to be mayor should be a really strong candidate. That's really, really tough because he's the opposite of. I haven't really seen anyone come out yet that I really feel is a strong enough candidate for mayor. So when I see that person, I'll be happy to say. But as for the woman that you interviewed, I would love to see a woman mayor. Sadly, New York City has never had a female mayor, which I find to be like a little bit shocking. But I think it has to be somebody that's really just, fierce. And, I would have to hear a lot more from the candidates and what their vision for New York is. And it would have to be something that was the complete opposite of what de Blasio was doing.
I'm gonna marry these two issues in a sense, because I think all of these issues are somewhat, especially now, they're all kind of linked together. So one of the reasons why we see so many voters frustrated is because it's true that throughout the last maybe 20 years in American politics, we've seen how businesses have been getting bailouts. We see how the banks have been getting bailouts. We see how certain incorporated businesses get bailouts. But the American people are saying that, what about us? Some people are working two jobs. When the economy goes to hell, if you will, the people that have to pick up their pieces are the middle class and poor people. So it's like, what happens throughout the last 20 years, we not to go back into history, but we seen what happened with the economy with George W. Bush. And so everybody went frantic, everybody went crazy. Oh, the banks need a bailout. Then you had the Bernie Madoffs and whatever. Long story short, so what happened? Obama came into office. He gave certain institutions a bailout. According to Tim Geithner, which was, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, the Secretary of for the money, if you will. He had a strategy of giving the banks money so the credit can flow freely. My point is that in certain cases it is understandable. But my point is that why in this country, when things go wrong, we have a catastrophe on our hands with COVID-19. We have 200 or something thousand people dead right now. People have lost their jobs. People have lost their income. People have lost their businesses. And we don't see not anything moving from Congress. We don't hear the President of the United States sounding the alarm, talking about these people need help. These people, it should be the number one priority of this government. And I think voters should be alarmed and aware that this type of behavior is going on, and it shouldn't be tolerated from our elected officials who have took an oath to the people of this country. Mind you, the poor and the middle class is the majority of this country. The majority of this country go to these businesses, and we keep them in business. So I think that politicians need to listen up and start heeding to the needs of the American people, and they're not doing that. Now, just to bring this back to Joycelyn Taylor, who Rizzo interviewed, she made a specific comment. She said,
and it relates to homelessness. We have to be honest about the fact that homelessness has become big business. We spend $3.2 billion a year on homeless services. You mean to tell me we can't build housing for homeless people with $3.2 billion?
Exactly.
You know, one of my plans is to take money from projects that might be nice to have, but are not necessarily needs, and invest that money in building true housing, permanent housing for people who are homeless, and include the resources that they need to be successful. If we took $2 billion from other projects, let's say the $11 billion we're going to spend on jails, and we utilize that money to build housing, we could house in a year 8,000 to 10,000 people, which means that there would be 8,000 to 10,000 people less homeless in this city. Which means that if we're going by how much we spend per person, which is $53,000, we could save $530 million. You know, it's always interesting to me when it comes down to things that we want to do for everyday people, where we have this question about where we're going to get the money from. You know, when we spent billions of dollars in Hudson Yards, no one ever asked where we're getting the money from. My goal is to have a budget that is ideally focused on people first. Everything we do with the budget needs to be able to impact people's lives in a positive way. There are those things that you need to have and those things that are nice to have. And the funds for the needs to have is going to come from the nice to haves. Right? So listen, we have right now, there's $11 billion that's being set aside to build new prisons. We're going to pull the money from there and we're going to use it on education because we're going to be proactive about the result that we want to see.
in one of her comments, she thought it was interesting that how when you're talking about poor people and in the middle class, you can't find no money. But when you're talking about a tax cut, when you're talking about how to make more money for people who already have money, it's just so crazy how when poor people and middle class people need money, there is no money. We're strapped for cash. The budget is a problem. All this, the deficit is a problem. But yet, when the corporations need something or rich people need a tax cut, let's get out there and talk to the people. Under George W. Bush, it was a terrible recession. Obama came into office, he had to clean it up. Some people disagreed with how he cleaned it up. At the end of the day, he did clean it up. So now we have Trump in the office. Economy is bad. Now we're leaving it to Biden to clean up. And in political history, we have seen that Democrats only get elected when there's a catastrophe going on. If you go back to George H.W. Bush, he got thrown out of office, and Clinton had to clean up a small recession that was left there because of the tax cuts. What I'm saying is that from a Republican and independent standpoint, where is the line being drawn for poor and middle class people to get help after the country falls to pieces and the country decides to bail out corporations? That's the comment I would like to hear a Republican and independent side to the politics.
I'm not an economic, specialist. I do think that there's a big fallacy when it comes to what Democrats and Republicans are. I've met plenty, literally by just being really involved in the past year. And I've been out there while everybody else, for the most part, has been in their homes watching everything going on from TV. I've seen it with my own eyes. People think that the Republicans are the party of the wealthy. That's the opposite of the truth. They're the party of the middle class and the lower class. The richest people in the world are Democrats. That's a fact. Everybody in Hollywood are Democrats, coincidentally. The corporate media and everybody that owns them and everybody that runs the world are Democrats. So I don't understand understand where all the biggest corporations are owned by Democrats. So I don't understand where this, because it's what the story that Democrats feed people, that they are the party for the poor when they're not. They are the party of the super rich, the super elite, and there's a big gap in between, and they use and they abuse the people who are at the lowest socioeconomic level to think that they are for them when they are not for them, and they are using them for their vote, and they want to keep them poor, and they want to keep them down there so that they feel like they have to keep begging them, we need more money, we need our $600 every month, when you know that should not be the case. Everybody should have a piece of the pie, and that's the way, that is the part of the Republican ideology that attracted me from becoming I was a Democrat, I turned into a Republican, or I'm more, I would say, in sync with Republican ideologies right now, because I don't want anything for free. I want to work for my own stuff. And these Democrats are constantly telling us that we need bailouts, we need government money. No, we don't. We don't need any of that. And they basically destabilized us by using this virus and super inflating it and creating this mass hysteria where that doesn't excuse an entire society, an entire world for acting like they don't want to go to work, they don't want to see their parents, they don't want to like walk out the front door. They've used this to destabilize the economy and to make people feel like they need to beg the government for more things.
This is the reason why we so divided, because we have Democrats and Republicans fighting against the working class and the middle class. Not just the Democrats, but both parties. That's why we can't come to no common ground. We'll never be able to have a mutual respect. Republicans have cut many programs that was helping the poor people, that would help them become independent. Job training programs have been cut. Republicans cut food stamps from families who are struggling to eat. Now I got evidence. I can bring up statistics next time and prove to you that the Republicans and Democrats are in cahoots when it comes down to working class people.
Hey, you're watching Early Talk with Rizzo Denise. We are a startup show that discusses many topics correlated around your future. If you feel compelled to donate $100 to build up our subscription base, that helps us reach more people, but even more importantly, it helps us attract great guests and subject matter. Click the link down below.